Welcome back. President Bola Tinubu on Monday signed the 28.78 trillion naira 2024 Appropriation Bill into law in line with his commitment to maintain a timeous, predictable, and efficient budget cycle. The top priorities of the 2024 budget of 28.7 trillion naira, defense and internal security, job creation, macroeconomic stability, improved investment environment, human capital development, poverty reduction, and social security. Some of the key estimates are capital expenditure, 10 trillion naira, recurrent expenditure, 8.8 trillion naira, debt service, 8.2 trillion naira, and statutory transfers, 1.7 trillion naira. Now, the signing was done in his office in the State House, Abuja, on Monday, January 1st, 2024. With him during the signing were Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, and the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, and the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu. We still have in the studio Mr. Lawal Ekundaya, who is an educationist and then also a public affairs commentator, and Andy, who's...
we have, Andy Appropriation, who is a medical personnel and a social reformer. Well, good to have you with us in the studio.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Andy, we've seen everything on the budget, the 2024 budget.
Yes.
And there's a lot to talk about. But first of all, I want to know what you think about the budget as a whole.
Budget essentially speaks to income and expenditure, right?
Yeah.
You have a country of over 200 million people, and we are still scratching, and having to work with a budget of how many trillion?
28.
Less than 30 trillion. If you factor that in today's time into dollars, do a quick calculation of it and see what comes up, you would find that it's a laughable phenomenon or quantity to still in this time and age have a country that is expected to be the giant of Africa, a country that is supposed to be moving with the speed of light in terms of development, still working around, 30 trillion naira. Look around the world from South Africa, to Egypt and other countries that are very, very intentional about development and see what they do with their budgets. Just looking at this budget, I can tell that it has failed already. Go look at the last budget. What aspect of the budget actually succeeded in the last budget? You hear, and the government is not failed to make the statement that with recurrent, they are on top of it.
Yeah. But
the capital end of the project, of the budget, which essentially is what development is supposed to be etched on. How did that perform with the 2022-2023 budget? How did it perform? So we need to look first, we need to be very serious in this country. Where do we get our monies from? Have we looked at it to see that that's the most that we can get? Today, the concentration still is around, the sale of crude oil.
Yeah.
What else can we do? There are other segments, sectors, other units that can give us even much more than we can get or we are currently getting. If we just concentrated a bit on those aspects, you would see that we'll be doing budget of over $1 trillion. It is possible. If we want to fix Nigeria, look at the health sector, see what it takes. Recently, the Minister of Works was speaking to what it would take to fix the road in this country.
Yeah.
And you look at the budget and you will just be laughing that are these people really serious about development? For me, it's again, I want to be very careful with my choice of words. It's again one tradition that must be fulfilled, every year. One custom that we must do as a people every year, not done out of the mindset to change, the mindset to fix, the mindset to rejuvenate our system like it ought to be.
All right, then. We have John Akirile joining us virtually as well. So let's bring John into this conversation. And let's also do know that we still have Lawal Ekundaya with us in the studio. But John, good morning to you, John. Welcome to VOP this morning. Welcome to the conversation. Now, we're talking about the budget. It was signed into law yesterday by the president at 2 p.m. 28, it was 27.5 initially, but the Senate, National Assembly decided to up it a bit.
Yeah.
So it's been moved up to 28.78 trillion naira. And now, let's start with education, because I know that's an area that you're also really interested in. Education was allocated, or is allocated, 2.18 trillion naira. That's about 7.9% of the budget. Let me do a quick breakdown of it. I hope, well, let me just do a quick breakdown. 1.23 trillion amount provision for Federal Ministry of Education and its agencies, recurrent and capital expenditure. That's 1.23 trillion. We also have 251.47 billion amount provision for Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. Now that's there's an issue as to the UBEC funds, accessibility, and why we have out-of-school children, why we are not using that as much as we should. That's one other issue. And then we have a 700.0 billion naira transfers to Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, for infrastructure projects in tertiary institutions. John, please.
Bosses, good morning to you. Good morning to every other person in the studio. Good morning to all of our viewers all over the world. For me, looking at the budgets is just like a normal yearly ritual that we ought to do and that we do every year. But the question we should ask ourselves is the 2023 budget that was signed and passed. How far have we gone in terms of implementation?
Absolutely.
What is the effect on the people? What is the effect on the economy? What is the effect on industrialization? What is the effect on our roads? What is the effect on education, health, infrastructure? What is the effect on food inflation and agriculture? If as a people we cannot sit down and look back and ask ourselves, so far so good, have we done well? It's only in Nigeria you have this abnormality going on. In other parts of the world, you see that each minister, each cabinet gives a review year in, year out of how much was released to their ministry and agencies, of the project they've been able to do, where they are on the project, and what they need to complete those projects. Is visible, is evident. Let me ask you this today. 2023 budget. What can you point to as a person in Nigeria that this was in the budget and this is being implemented 100%? I can tell you boldly, Moses, and every other person in the studio, that the only thing that has been implemented to the latter 100% is only the bogus salary of our senators and our political class. None of them is being owed, not even Christmas allowance. They've been all paid. And in terms of implementation of budget, that is the only aspect where we are functional. Moses, that is madness of the highest order. And no same country will take us serious with that kind of budget performance. And so looking at this one also, we are trailing the same road. It's only a fool that will continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. It doesn't work that way. It's not rocket science. All right? Now, if a country as big as Nigeria, the most populated black nation in the whole of the universe, is giving 7% of our budget to education, it means that the government is intentionally, increasing the level of out-of-school children. The government is intentionally bringing their people to a high level of mediocrity. The government is intentionally crippling the educational sector so that the populace can be more uneducated, more devastated, and they are less exposed in terms of education. Moses, until we get to a point in this country where for you to be a president, your children will attend public schools, your wives, your aides, if they are sick, they go to the nearest healthcare center closest to you. And until we say that no political office holder or appointee would go for medical tourism. Until we say to you that if you are to be a local government chairman or a governor, your children must attend public schools of the state or the local government where you reside. When your child goes to school and sits on the floor as a sitting governor, I think when you have to look at budget the next time, you will understand that for any sane clan that is really looking at projecting the future of the generation yet unborn, education should be a priority.
All right, then.
Thank you,
Educated minds are bright minds. Uneducated minds are terrorists, and that's what we have in Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. John. Educated minds are bright minds. Now, I'm glad that we have an educationist here. We have 7 billion naira allocated for the student loan. And then we also have ASU and a number of persons saying, why bring student loan? Why not make it grant or just something that can get to everybody rather than have the student loan? So what do you think about this?
You see, when a student, when in the exam, let me just use as this thing to explain when a student in an examination did not know what to write, you'll be looking for expo. You get, so anything you give to that student, you will just lift it, that expo, and put it in his paper and submit. That is what we're having in this government. They just lift. They don't understand. You get it? What they are really doing. They just lift one part of the budget, take it to the second year, present it as the budget. You get what I'm saying? Because over and over again, we have been repeating this thing. You have been repeating it. There's no evaluation. How can you be spending money? You want to spend money for a whole year. You don't have, there's no evaluation. There's supposed to be periodic evaluation of how that project is going, how you are spending the money. You have 100 million to spend. The first quarter or the first month, what are we spending? What are we going to achieve? So from there, you now carry it over to the next month. By the time you get to the first month, you do your first quarter evaluation.
But isn't that why the government, this administration has instituted an agency or a body that will overlook the ministers to ensure that they deliver?
See, supervise the supervisor, evaluate the evaluator. That is the way you move an organization. If you set up the auditor, the auditing department, there must be others that will another body that will still audit. Do you get it? That auditing department. That is when you can know that there's no flaws. You get it? But it's not happening. Okay, look at what we're talking about, the budget now. The current expedition, how much? 8 trillion something. Is that not it? Debt servicing, how much?
I have to get back to that one.
8 trillion. You mentioned the trillion. By the time you total that, that is something 60 million. Remove it from 28 million. Tell us what we are left with.
Trillion.
Oh, well. Tell them. That's why. What do you want to do with the remaining thing? It's just to pay salary.
But you know,
and service debt, and that's all we'll
the
be
president has
budget.
asked for a monthly evaluation report. So hopefully there should be a change this government is possibly going to make sure that this is carried out. Don't you think so?
If you have a company and you employ somebody to come and fix the problem in the country, the company, and the person is spending 7 months, you get it, and you are still having problem in the company, what are you going to do? Because I have not seen any time I told you I
have to butt in here because of time.
Okay.
Let me come to Andy now. Andy, you are part of the health sector. We've been talking about brain drain. We've been talking about loss of manpower in the health sector. John did point to something that we've talked about quite a number of times. Our elected officials leaving the country for medical treatment abroad. Now let's look at what has been allocated to health. Now, health, we are having 5% of the budget going into health. Education has a 7 point something %, but health has even a lesser one. I thought they say a healthy nation is a wealthy nation.
Absolutely, and you would find that.
Let me give you the exact amount allocated to health. Okay. Just a reminder. I know you know already. 1.33 trillion naira. That's 5% of the entire thing.
So when we make the permutations around what was allocated to the different ministries, agencies, and departments, we do not bother to look at the fine details. You know, we just think the 1-point-something trillion is actually supposed to be for the development of that sector. You would find that often between 70 and 80% of what was allocated was actually allocated to pursue after the recurrence of that ministry. The challenge we have in Nigeria is that we do not have individuals or institutions that act as ombudsman, if you permit my use of that word, that pursue the fine details in the budget and give the government a run for their money, as it were. The government will just come and just churn out any kind of figure and say to Nigerians that this is what we are allocating, and Nigerians will take it hook, line, sinker, and the river and everything within the river. If we had people who were intentional and deliberate about pursuing the fine details of the budget and fighting the government from the first time the whistle was blown till the end of that budget, what was the performance of the 2023 budget? So I'm not one to be, bamboozled or pulled by the nose by the amount that the government would have allocated to each me. In any case, what were the treaties? The treaties that we signed everywhere, international treaties, the African treaty, the West African treaty, around how much must be budgeted for health. Have you seen any government since independence that actually pursued and implemented all of what we agreed internationally that was supposed to be budgeted for health? No government. The President Muhammad Buhari government came and said, we are going to do zero-sum budgeting. We are going to pursue the fine details and align with the international requirements. It came and it was a failure. Today, I have predicted in my new book, Unveiled, how to run a profitable hospital business now, that indeed there's going to come a time when Nigerians would be importing doctors. And I'm not kidding you. The doctors in Nigeria will not be interested anymore. And when I speak to doctors, or let me say the medical practitioners in Nigeria will not be interested anymore to come back to Nigeria and work. You see, the highest percentage of those who are doing this japa, they are from the medical sector. They are the doctors, they are the pharmacists, they are the nurses, they are the laboratory scientists, the medical health. They are the medical people that are jackbarring. So they leave this country, they get to other places where they are appreciated for what they are worth. And you think that they are going to come back to this country anytime. A population of over 200 million people, go check the number of medical doctors that we have to cater to that population. You have just rightly said it. A people who are not healthy cannot be wealthy. You cannot be talking about productivity. Production is edged on the ability to be able to do. Your physiology must be healed. Your anatomy must be functioning for you to be able to sit here today to even speak to the people.
How do you think government can implement this 1.33 trillion in such a way that the health sector would benefit from it?
So it's not what I would think or say in the studio that would affect whatever it is that they want to say. Right? No. We have seen over a period of time, I actually stayed a while from commenting on radio and on TV stations because I'd said that the Nigerian people are totally unserious about, holding their officials, accountable. Totally unserious. Right? Totally unserious. If we were serious, there are certain things that we would not be permitting. Check everywhere else in the world that the people are serious. The government would have no other choice but to do the bidding of the people. We have said that we are operating a democracy. Democracy is the people, is focused on the people. Today, what we have is not a democracy because against it being focused on the people, we are seeing that it is focused on the system. It's focused on leadership. It's focused on this fakery that we have in this country. So if we spoke to these things and said this is how we expect that they should implement this thing, you will see that it comes in through this ear and is leaving through the other ear. If you wanted to fix this country, you got to gather the people who were the stakeholders in that sector.
All right.
Okay. You organize them and you sort from them what they thought was necessary to driving that sector to the next level. Today, what do we have? You just anyway. Okay, I'm going to hold my fire.
Let's come to John and let's get John's view on this one. John, please.
Thank you, Moses. I can't agree less with Doctor in the studio. Doctor, I share your sentiment and your plight. All right. You know that I've always been part of the few voices that have been crying until Nigeria happened to me myself and I had to find my school. But the truth of the matter is, just like Moses said, most of the people who are moving are not only in the medical field. Check your teachers, they are moving in drones.
I see.
Check your SMEs, those people who are running small-scale businesses in Nigeria, they are moving in drones. Talk about your bright minds who are in their youthful age, who have got all the vigor and energy. They are moving in drones. My brother, just take a sensor around you in that your studio there. Those at the back and ask them, how many of you would like to japa if you have a free visa? Out of 10, I can tell you boldly, 8 to 10 they want to go.
9.
Now, where are they going? They are going to a place where they have a working system. And that's what we are saying. See, the last time we were talking about the Prime Minister of UK, who boarded the train and, was having stopovers at different places, coming down, shaking people, handing gifts. What do we have in our own case? And I keep saying, a country like Nigeria that have money to spend on frivolities, and you keep telling the people to tighten their belt. Senators cannot tighten their belt. Governors are not tightening their belt. The president himself is not tightening his belt. The appointees are not tightening their belt. You are saying to us there's no money to build good infrastructure in health, in education, in other areas of human endeavors, but you have money to spend on your frivolous, luxurious lifestyle. And you want us to believe that we should take it serious? Nigeria has become a country where people feel they are their own government. Moses, even in your studio, you've got your own generating set, which means you are providing power for yourself. And at the end of the day, you're still going to pay tax to the government. Then the question to be asked is, what tax are you paying? What are you paying for actually?
Now that
in terms of security, you don't have it.
Another issue now, John. Quickly, let me just get your thoughts, and then I'll ask Andy and Lawal this one as well. The issue of providing for yourself. We have a situation whereby I'm going to quickly jump to defense. Defense has about 12% of the budget, which is the highest so far. But then in the papers today, we know what's going on around the country. In the papers today, different organizations and bodies are talking about individuals having to be empowered to defend themselves. If it gets to that, what do you make of, it getting to the point where if Nigerians are allowed to bear arms and defend themselves, do you think that will be the way to go?
Moses, it will be too catastrophic. And if Nigerians are allowed to carry guns, it will be far worse than the earthquake of Japan. All right? Because already the system is down. And so some people are actually looking for opportunity to unleash their violence. So if they have guns, in fact, America will be learning violence from us as a people. And that also is a pointer to something very important, Moses. And it is a fact that in terms of security, we are not there yet. In terms of budget for security, we are not there yet. Now, the money that is even allocated, Moses, I can tell you boldly, if you know the breakdown of that money and the actual money that gets to these people at the war front, you will cry for Nigeria. And that's why I'm saying that across board, the actual money you are seeing on paper is not the actual money that comes to the final person or the final department for them to execute those projects. At the end of the day, there are middlemen, even in the ministry and agency, that have their own cuts from these budgets. And if their cut is not given to them, these budgets will not fly to those ministries and agencies. And so it's an holistic approach that we need to look at as a people and say to ourselves, are we really serious and ready to fix Nigeria? If you are really serious and ready to fix Nigeria, then it takes everybody's effort across all stratas of leadership and transparency, accountability, competence, and capacity. If we have all of this, Moses, I can tell you are good to go.
Well, the Minister of Defense he came out to say last year that in 2024 that insecurity is going to be over in Nigeria. Andy, what are your thoughts? And then we're seeing what the allocation on the budget is on security.
Very recently, right, they said to us that there was a mechanical completion of the Port Harcourt refinery. And I asked a very important question on social media. And I said, plot a graph between the technical defeat of Boko Haram and the mechanical completion of the Port Harcourt refinery. And you will see the dilemma of Nigeria. If you plotted a graph, they told us that they are technically defeated Boko Haram. And I was wondering why you had to qualify defeat with technical, right? I was wondering. Today, as soon as that was told us by Lai Mohammed, we found that indeed there was no such thing like defeat. Boko Haram became, it was proliferating as quickly as a cancer cell, you know, in a patient proliferates. So I'm saying to you that we are not one of those people that they can come on air to, you know, pull the wool over our eyes. There is nothing that has been, for instance, why are we not asking them the billions that were taken out of Nigeria, taken out of our external reserve to purchase some equipment, some military hardware? They took it without even following through the protocols, the constitutional protocols. What became of those implements? How far have they used those implements to fix the insecurity challenge? We heard on Christmas Day or Eve how that humans were maimed, decapitated in the manner that they were. 180 and still counting. Go check what is happening between Israel and Gaza. The number of people that the people from Gaza, the terrorists from Gaza, came to Israel to kill is not half what was killed, or who the people that were killed in Jos, in Plateau. What has happened? Have you heard the kind of, have you seen the kind of coordinated effort that we are seeing in Israel, that they are propelling and channeling at addressing that aggression? Today, Nigerians understand that we are working as orphans in the streets of Nigeria. We do not have parents. The government is supposed to provide a covering over us. The government is supposed to say, oh, we are protecting. Don't forget, the Constitution said that the primary purpose of government shall be the welfare and the security. Welfare and security. Nigerians are not holding their government accountable. Otherwise, we'll be asking them, how secured are we today in our country? If we are not secure, it means we have failed, because we set the examination for you. We set the target for you from the first second that you got into office. You accepted and you signed, you assented to it, that indeed you were going to give yourself to pursuing welfare and pursuing the security of the people. But today, see what has happened. Welfare is zero. Security is zero. 180 people are still counting, killed, maimed. Don't forget, the governor of that state, on that same day, was in Lagos to come and do rank adede. In Lagos, to come and pay obeisance while they were killing his people in his town. You can see the travesty.
Well, you know that the president put out a watchdog to make sure that the perpetrators are being handled.
Are you kidding me? Since I was born in this country, I have been hearing of those kinds of statements to placate the people. Delegiwa died. So we are going to get to the bottom of it. We are going to do everything and ensure that indeed the people who got to Delegiwa are brought to book. Okay, fast forward. Bola Ige died. Oh, we are going to get to the bottom of it. Funsho Williams died. We are going to get to the bottom of it. Bola Ige's wife died in the house. We are going to get to the bottom. How many of those cases have you seen to the end? The government will say these things to placate gullible Nigerians. Yeah. So when you hear it, you say, oh, they are going to fight, or they are going to attend to these issues, or they are doing nothing. All they do is to drink burukutu, to fold their agbada and their babariga, you know, and jump into their AC vehicles and jump from one place to the other. That's all they do as leaders in this country. They do nothing else.
How do you think we can hold the government accountable? You know what happened during the NSAS protests?
Yes.
You know what transpired during the NSAS protests?
Yes.
So tell me now, Nigerians, you mentioned that Nigerians
saw what happened afterwards.
Yeah. Afterwards.
Nigerians are docile. Nigerians are gullible. I am putting it on air. If Nigerians were not, so let me tell you what I say. You work in an organization where you are working out your butt, permit my use of the word, and your bosses, you see them driving in the best cars. Your MD and those in management position driving in the best. They are not paying you salaries in the first month. They don't pay you in the second month. They don't pay you in the third month. What do? You see that they are living the life, ostentatious life.
You can choose to pray.
They are driving. You know what we do in Nigeria? We pray. We pray. There are nations that are not praying and we are running to those nations. China is one of them. Nigerians, you will see our religious leaders and they will be telling us, speaking to nothing and telling us that we should go and pray and fast. As though we have seen anywhere where praying and fasting moves anything. A law in physics says everything remains at a state of inertia unless and until an external pressure is applied on it. In Nigeria, we are not applying any pressure. So everything has remained at that inertial state until we are ready to apply pressure. Nigerians listening to me and watching me right now, nothing will change in your country until you are ready to apply pressure.
Do you agree with the notion that Nigerians are docile, or Nigerians are, the kind of people that will just give you enough time, and they keep watching to see if you will change?
They don't even give enough time. They run, they hide. That's what Nigerians are doing.
So you agree that Nigerians are docile?
Yes, we run. More than docile, we run, we hide. We create this atmosphere of fear around ourselves. Any small thing we say, they are going to kill me. The next, if I come out now, you see what they did to something. I ask them,
are we not dying already?
This country you run to, you get it. Go and look at their history. See the way they fight and protect their democracy. You get it. Look at the case of George Floyd. They came out to make sure there was justice. Look at the case of ordinary increment of fuel in France. Do you remember that yellow vest? It went across the world. But here, the next thing our people are protesting is Gaza. Do you remember the protests that happened last year? They were protesting Gaza. I begin to wonder, what has Palestine ever protested? They don't even know you exist. Have you ever protested about your own case that Nigerians are suffering? Are we not being killed? Before their own happened, there was a case of bandits and kidnapping and program that went all over the world in Nigeria. Did you see them protesting for us? Did you see them even saying anything on our behalf? No. But you now gather because you are now turning it into something that, because the mind of the people have been conditioned, have been splitted into sections so that they cannot come together and be able to challenge the government and ask the government questions. So you have been divided politically, religiously. You get it. You have been given fear. They have created poverty to be able to suppress you. If I had the NLC call out for a strike now, you say,
can they even call for a strike?
No, I'm just saying that the next thing they will say
they have been
my food.
They have become victims also. They have been held down. They have been shackled. Like every one of us have been in this country. And let me just state this.
Okay.
Hospitals are meant to run as a business, because we are buying diesel, we are paying for drugs and all of that. Let me shock you. Today, Nigerians are dying in their numbers because the hospitals do no longer have the capacity to run those systems without charging the patients like they should charge them. In those days, if you got to the hospital in an emergency, quickly, we're doing everything. Quickly, you were attended to. But guess what? If you attended to a patient today, particularly in a private hospital, and you found after having attended to the patient that the patient, they have the money to pay for that, what happens to that doctor? Because at the time you were attending to that patient, you engaged the consultant that you paid. At the time you were attending to that patient, you were running your diesel or you were running your generating set and buying diesel at the price that the government have said that we must buy diesel at. At the end of the day, when you factor all these things, you see that because the doctors do not want to run at a loss, they are saying to the patient as soon as they are coming that we need this deposit, 500,000, 300,000. How many Nigerians indeed can pay that much? I'm saying that Nigerians, we are dying already by the decisions that have been taken by this government. We are unaware that every second Nigerians are dying deaths that they should not die from because we have failed to do what we should do. Enough is enough. We must, as a people, come together in concert and say that government is either you are doing this because we employed you now. Your bosses employed you here to do certain things. If you were not doing it, then it behoves them to remove you from the office, to Today, Nigerians are seeing the people that they have employed. We have employed the Senate president who is dividing money to everybody. We have employed the president who today is going for hunger, is going for conferences with billions of people, billions of our naira. We have employed the speaker, we have employed them, but guess what? We can't speak to the people we have employed. We that are the employers, we can't speak to our employees. Our employees are determining for us how we are going to live, how we are going to run the company. All are equal shareholders in this country. They don't own Nigeria more than we do. So until we are ready to come together and say enough is enough, this nonsense will even get worse.
All right, let's get John's concluding thoughts on this. I'll take that as your concluding thoughts.
It's all right.
Let's get John's concluding thoughts on this, and then we'll go into we'll get to Lawal and go into another part of the show. John, please.
Thank you very much, Moses. Doctor, I can't agree less with you, but I think for me, we should hold our office holders accountable. And the best way we can do that is from the local government. So let's ask ourselves, do you even know the councillor representing your ward in your locality? And we should start from there. So many of us focus more on the national budget. Some of us don't even know our state budget. Some of us don't even know our local government budget and how that local government budget affects our own streets and our own vicinity. So until we come to that level of awareness that we are truly interested in the dealings of the government, looking at the projects, looking at the timeline, looking at the amount that have been expended to all of these projects and how we can monitor those projects. There's a body in Nigeria today who follow projects, and you will see that if you go to their page, you will see that there are so many projects that have been abandoned, and these projects have been ticked, has been executed at the federal level.
Absolutely.
But at the state and local government level, it has not been done. But the money for those projects has gone to some private pocket. So until we get to that point, as the office of the citizen, we come to that level of awareness that we are educated, we are bright minds, we are brilliant people, and we can start asking questions on the basis of transparency and accountability. I'm not saying because you belong to a political group. No, we all are Nigerians. At least you can hear on the streets yesterday. Abin Power does not know APC, PDP, Labour Party, ABGA, whatever. And those market women are showing to you the street vibe of Lagos. So if Lagos is saying to you that we are hungry, it means the whole of Nigeria is hungry, and something needs to be done drastically. On that note, thank you and God bless Nigeria.
All right, then thank you very much. Lawal, please. In a minute, let's get your concluding thoughts on this one.
See, the problem with this country is very simple and clear. That constitution.
Okay.
As long as that constitution keep existing, we will never get anything right in this country.
Some will disagree that it's not just about the constitution, it's about the people. Because if you change the constitution has measures to punish those that have erred, but then we don't see that being done. We don't see our courts, punish people that have erred.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you call, like he said, I want to use a term for that?
All right, let's wrap this up now because we are out of time now.
Okay.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about former President Muhammadu Buhari, talking about how happy he was that the Tinubu administration increased the pump price of fuel. We'll talk about that one when we come back.